Alright guys, for this video, we're going to do something a little different. This is going to be different than my other videos, as in this is mainly an audio thing, but it's not a podcast. I'm just going to be telling you a story. People like to listen to tragedies for whatever reason, so I have a really good one, I guess, for you Amiga guys, computer guys. But before I get into the point of this video, I did want to do a quick sort of survey, I guess. I think YouTube has like a survey option. I'll see if I can figure that out. If not, just let me know in the comments. But I have a question for you guys. So I've been shooting my videos now in 1080p. And, you know, even though my camera isn't the greatest, it does an okay job. Even my older camera, I was shooting them in HD, but they looked horrible. That was a terrible camera. But anyways, my question is, I've seen a lot of people, like other YouTubers, and that do similar stuff to me, quality-wise, and I noticed some of their videos are just in 720p, and some of my videos can be a little bit long, and the 1080p, man, it's eating a lot of hard drive space. You know, I do like a 30 or 40 minute video in 1080p, and it's like 3 gigabytes, and I know that's not a whole lot, but it's still a lot. I mean, God, my first hard drive was 1.6 gigabytes. It's crazy to think about that stuff. But anyways, I'm wondering, I'm going to ask you guys, because you are the viewers, would it bother anyone if I scaled back and I just started doing my videos in 720p? Personally, I don't really see much of a difference, personally, especially with YouTube compressing things and whatnot. So, but I want to leave it up to you guys if I should just keep shooting in 1080p, just, I don't know, to be future-proof or something, or just help me save some hard drive space, start shooting in 720p. Like I said, personally, I don't really see much of a difference in video quality, but maybe you guys, I'll just leave it up to you guys since you are the viewers. So anyways, let's do this story thing now. It's story time. It's time for a little fireside chat here. So this is a story. I wanted to do a video on this machine, which of course is the Amiga 4000. But that's not going to happen probably in the foreseeable future. And I'm probably going to have some kind of footage of me playing some random game in the background just so you guys have something to look at, I guess, rather than just a blank screen hearing my voices. But I'll throw up pictures as they become relevant to the story. So anyways, this story starts a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago actually. It was probably 2011, maybe 2012, somewhere around there. So I'm an Amiga guy. I grew up with an Amiga 500, always loved the Amiga stuff, but it's really expensive. I mean, I remember going in the early 2000s, going to a convention, little one in Ohio, little computer get-together around Cleveland. And I remember not being ridiculous price. I think I picked up 2 Amiga 500s there for like $50 each. It was before prices just went nuts. I hear they're not as bad in Europe, but here in the US, Amiga prices have gone through the roof. But anyways, the Amiga 4000 was like always one of those unattainable computers for me. I always wanted one, but it was just so expensive. Even then, it was really expensive. Multiple hundreds and hundreds of dollars. $400 if you're lucky. So anyways, just randomly, I was on Atari Age, like around 2011, 2012, and a guy posted, and he was local in my area, and he was selling an Amiga lot for like $300. And this was like a monitor, an RGB monitor, a box of like random doodads, a box of discs, Amiga 1000, an Amiga 3000, and an Amiga 4000. This is the desktop, not the tower. But man, and he claimed they worked. So I was psyched. So like tax return, I just got some money back. I'm still not a made man, as far as a man of means for money. So 300 is a significant amount of money for me, but I had to have this thing. So anyways, I set it up. Luck is on my side. I meet the guy, get the stuff, $300. Awesome Amiga haul. Best Amiga haul in my entire life. So I am psyched for this Amiga 4000. So I get it home, hook it up, and it works. Everything worked. The other 2 Amigas actually worked too. I still have them in my storage unit. But the Amiga 4000 worked. I was so happy. There was one issue though, and that was sound. The sound was sort of messed up. You could hear it, but like one, I don't know if channel is the right word, but one speaker, it would be low and one would be like normal-ish. I'll give you a good example. So it came from the desert, the Amiga game. other platforms too, but we're talking about the Amiga version. There's a beginning intro, there's music, and there's also narration going on. So, for example of what was happening, you could hear the music okay. It wasn't really loud, but it was, volume could be a little better on it, but it was passable. But you could barely hear the guy, the desert, 1,000 years, whatever it is. It was really low. So, I mean, functionally, it wasn't really functional. It wasn't playable unless you didn't care about sound at all. So, it was like this for a while. I am not a technical guy. I didn't know what to do about it. I was just thrilled to have a somewhat working Amiga 4000. And eventually, a year or two later, shortly after this haul, I moved out west. And I moved out west in a 2000 Mustang, and you can imagine I could only carry so many things in that, and one of the things I brought was that Amiga 4000, because I was so proud of it. And so I set it up. I didn't really use it much because, like I said, the sound was messed up, and for me, the music, the sound, that's a huge part of the experience for me. I know people that don't even care. I know people that like turn off the music all the time for games, and I actually kind of used to be like that, but that's another side thing. So anyways, yeah, I always wanted to get this thing fixed. I didn't think it would be a big deal. The board looked okay. There was a little bit of battery acid damage, but it was very minor. It didn't seem to affect anything. I don't think that was affecting the sound. I think the battery thing is a different area. But anyways, I don't want to get off track again. Eventually, I was like, this could be something as simple as caps, recapping. That's a big thing, recapping boards. So I was like, I'm going to put the money into this thing to get it recapped because, this is an expensive board. So I'm going to get it recapped, and hopefully that's going to fix my sound problem. I asked people on, I think it was like Amiga forums or something. They were like, yeah, get it recapped. I'm sure recapping is the problem. So I found a guy, not going to mention names or anything. He had pretty good reputation for recapping. He had experience specifically with recapping Amiga boards. So I sent it to him. And again, shipping, it's a pretty big motherboard, so shipping isn't, I think it's like 20 some bucks to ship. It's stupid, especially if you want to ship it properly. So I shipped it to him, recapped it, got it back, hooked it up, put everything back together, super excited, and wow, it was bad. Now, the guy that did the recapping, he didn't have an Amiga or, a power supply or a monitor or anything to test it. So he just recapped it and sent it back. He couldn't test it. He let me know that up front. So I'm not blaming him for anything here. So anyways, now the issue was that the sound was okay, but it didn't matter because there was this extremely high-pitched screech over everything. I mean, it was bad. If it wasn't playable before, it was not playable now as far as sound goes. It was worse. Now, I took like a video of this issue a while ago so I could have people help me diagnose it. So I'm going to play that just so you can hear exactly what was going on. It's video too, so I'll show the clip. But I want to warn you guys, I know some of you use like fancy headphones and stuff, so it's a really high-pitched, terrible sound. So turn your volume down. If you're wearing headphones, you might want to take them off and just use the speaker and turn it down, or turn your headphones way down. And so I am going to play the clip, and this is now what it was doing. So I'm going to play it in 1, 2, 3. Alright, so here's my Amiga 4000 motherboard. Just kind of like the bare essentials hooked up. Now here is the problem audio area. Now the two caps previously that were there that dealt with the audio, they got ripped. The solder pads were ripped out, so it had to be redone. I don't even know what you call that. But anyways, here's the problem. I'm getting sound now, and I'm getting stereo sound, but there's this high-pitched, shrill sound that's like constantly coming out. And well, here's just an example of when I'm gonna hit power, and immediately I have my speakers up here. Immediately, it's gonna start making the sound. Right. So yeah, it's really annoying. And even when I jostle the wires, I can do all this stuff. It still will do it, and it's even coming out stereo, because when I pull one out, it cuts out. Yeah. And it's just non-stop. Alright, so I'm going to run a game now. Yeah, I know the color on this monitor is messed up too, but that's a whole other problem. So anyways, like for example, if I run It Came from the Desert. Okay, so the game's starting up. Actually, it looks fine. Anyways, but now listen, you can hear it, but that shrill thing is still over it. And the sound's coming out of this, and there's sound, so it is stereo. I'm getting both channels, but that damn high-pitched squeal is over top of everything. Okay, now here's the only time I can ever get the squeal to go away, and maybe it's a clue to what's going on here, but when I go into Elite Advanced, there's like a guitar solo at the beginning, and during that sound plays perfectly, the squeal goes away, and then when it goes back to like the regular, I don't know if there's different sounds or something, the squeal comes back. And then it's going to come back once this goes off. This is the only time the squeal goes away, or the high pitched. And then immediately it's back when it gets like into the game. And there's the music, I can hear it, and it's alternating, it's coming out stereo. All the notes are there, but that squeal's over top of it. Okay, so yeah, obviously that's very distracting. It's very terrible. It's worse than before where it was just like low volume through one of the RCA jacks or whatever. So I contact the guy and he tells me, well, it shouldn't be doing that. He's like, the only thing I could think of is he used different caps. He used like ceramic or the thallium or whatever, and those aren't the original, but technically they should be exactly the same but better, like more reliable. So he's like, the only thing I could think of is just using the original spec capacitors, the little barrels, the ones we're all used to, the ones that leak after so long. So anyways, he sent me them, no charge. He's like, don't worry about it, I'll send you. Nice guy. That's why it's not really his fault, any of this, but he sent me the caps, and he was like, because he was like, we have two options. You could send it back to me and I can do it, and that's going to cost me shipping again, another like 20 some bucks. Again, not a man of means. Or he could just send me the caps and I could do it. Now, I've done some light soldering in the past. I was like, a couple capacitors, this isn't going to be a problem. I didn't know about solder pads at the time. Very inexperienced. I had no idea that they were solder pads or how solder pads work. So I get the caps and I do this, and of course I don't really know what I'm doing, and I tear the solder pads off. And if you know about soldering stuff, that destroys it. I mean, that's done. You can't really tear the solder pads off. So now I've got no sound at all, which maybe in this case is better. But anyway, so now I've got this board, no sound. I tore off the solder pads, and not just one. I tore off both of them because I was like, well, maybe I could at least do the other one, and my impatience and cheapness in the situation. So anyways, the board's in this state of repair for a while. Now, I have a friend, again, he lives other part of the country, and I started talking to him, and he's really good with soldering and stuff. He's recapped a couple boards for me. I didn't have him recap this board because he didn't necessarily have experience with an Amiga board. But anyway, he was like, I have some experience repairing solder pads that are lifted. He's like, I can maybe redirect it and stuff. So, all right. So I send it to him. He does the work very cheaply. Good guy. Sends it back to me and kind of fixed the problem. He used the caps again. And, well, it didn't fix the problem, but it set it back to how it originally was. So now I had sound again, but it was the same issue where one channel, sorry, it might be the wrong terminology, would be real high, and then one would be barely audible. So basically I'm back to where I started. Okay, and it doesn't end. so so I go, excuse me. So I'm looking for all kind of solutions. Like maybe there's an Amiga, there's a Zorro card I could put in, like a sound card, and it will redirect the sound from the motherboard into the sound card, and I can output it through there. Um, Looking, don't find anything. I post about the whole tragedy on Amiga, big Amiga forum. And a guy gets back to me, and he's kind of an older member. He's been there a long time. He's in the UK. A lot more people with experience with Amiga repairs in Europe, especially the UK. So basically, this is what he tells me. He's like, you know what? He's like, your issue with your board intrigues me. He's like, you send it to me, pay shipping, but I'll tell you what. I will look at the problem. I think I can fix your issue. He's like, I got a lot of experience with this stuff. I will fix your issue free of charge. I will videotape the whole process, and I'll do this for the community. So if anyone else is having these problems, they can watch this video, and it will help them. We'll just help the whole community with this. Very professional guy too. Sent me a big email with like all kind of information and stuff. Now this is my fault. I didn't do my due diligence. I should have checked him out more. I should have asked other forum members. But I was excited. I'm finally getting this board fixed after like 7 years and all this back and forth. So I send the board to him in the UK. Not cheap. Not cheap. So gets there, goes across the ocean to jolly old England, and nothing. I don't hear back from the guy. So I'm panicking. I was like, oh my God, what happened? So I'm sending him like PMs. I think I found him on Facebook. I tried to send him an instant message. Nothing. No activity. So I was like, it's gone. Maybe he stole it. I don't know what's going on. So I'm on the forum saying, does anyone here know what's going on? Apparently, and I'm not going to give the guy's name, but apparently this has happened before. I'm not saying he does it on, because I eventually get the board back, but apparently he has this sort of habit of taking on projects and then realizing he can't do them, or he doesn't have the time because of his job. And instead of, doing the decent thing and being like, hey, I screwed up, I got a lot of work that came up, I can't do this, I'm going to send it back to you, or hey, you mind if it's with me for longer than expected because I had a lot of things come up. Apparently he just shuts down, and he like hides and leaves the boards, and that's that. So like I said, the guy's done this before, apparently. Eventually, the board does come back to me as returned. He didn't even pick it up at customs or the post office or whatever. So it sat there for like a month or however long. Finally came back to me. Box is beat up, worse for wear. One of the caps on the CPU daughter board's busted off. I think that's a solder pad too. That's busted off, rattling in the case. And yeah, that's that. I mean, that's pretty much where it's been this whole time. At that point, I was just like, I've put so much money into this thing with paying for it to be recapped and the shipping back and forth. I probably could have maybe almost bought another replacement board that worked. I still don't know what the hell's going on with the sound. I think it's still like that where it kind of works, but it's like low. It just doesn't work right. It's just, I'm so done with it. I know there's a guy in California. He's like one of the only people left in the United States that's really good at working with Amigas, but I know he gets a lot of work, and it takes him, his turnaround time is like forever. So I've been considering maybe sending it to him, and maybe he can fix it, but at this point I'm like left wondering, is it worth it? Am I just better off just forgetting it, maybe selling it for what I can, and then just getting a board that I know is working that's recapped or something. I don't know. That's my tale. That's my tragic tale of. I know some people, oh boo-hoo, at least you have an Amiga 4000. But yeah, I guess, but it still sucks to get one and then it doesn't really fully work, and then you go through literally a decade of back and forth trying to get it fixed. But I don't know. I don't know where to go with it from here. So yeah, that's my tale of the Amiga 4000. I know people like sad stories. I know people like watching those, like, why you shouldn't work at GameStop. 10 horrible things that happened to me as I worked at GameStop or something. So here's a sad tale about my Amiga 4000. I thought this would be a good story, a good filler, since I can't do a video on my Amiga 4000. I mean, I can, but the sound's messed up. So I don't know. If anyone has suggestions or comments, anything they think know what might be the issue, please put them in the comment section, along with if you think I should start shooting videos in 720p or 10 or keep it at 1020p. But yeah, so that's it. That's what happened to my Amiga 4000. Makes me very sad. So if you're still listening, thank you for listening. And again, any suggestions, just put them in the comments. But I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of done with this thing. With the Amiga, not the channel. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Maybe check out some other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you again.